Please welcome on stage Sir Nirav Shah. Nirav Shah is the partner at PwC India's Responsible Development Services, one consulting practice with over 20 years of experience across the private and public sectors. He specializes in large-scale transformation projects, having led key initiatives in smart cities, emerging technologies, urban mobility, IT strategy, and digital transformations.
Nirav Sir has played a pivotal role in delivering citizen-centric solutions under flagship programs like Safe Cities, Smart Cities and Digital India. As PwC's Office Markets Leader for Gujarat, he drives firm-wide services across the region. His global experience spans India, the Middle East, the US, the UK, Japan and the Philippines. We welcome you, sir.
I think this response really. A big thank you to AIS because I think this is such an amazing platform, to have students listen to such distinguished speakers. The speaker before me, talking about the Constitution, I think I had goosebumps, listening to some of the stories. What I'm going to be talking about today is something which connects to each one of us. It's about cities. We all live in cities. We all live in the city of Ahmedabad. Show of hands, how many of us love Ahmedabad? I love Ahmedabad. I also love Ahmedabad. I moved to Ahmedabad from Bombay, so I'm not native to Ahmedabad. But rest assured, I love this city. I love this city. If we look at what's happening to cities today, okay, everyone wants to come to cities. So today, 1 out of every 2 person in the world is living in cities. But the landmass of cities is significantly lesser. So you understand this problem? Very easy problem to understand. Okay. This trend is going to continue. By 2050, 7 out of 10 people are going to live in cities. So basically, you'll have almost very limited number of people who want to live in villages. What does this do actually? So I'll give an example which all of us can relate to. We have a box, right? We have a box. Okay? If we keep stuffing toys into that box and forcefully close it, we'll be able to close it. But next time, when you open that box, all your toys are going to just come crashing out. Now, this is actually what's happening to our cities. Because there is limited space, there is limited infrastructure, but you have people who keep coming into our cities, And I'm not blaming those people. Those people are coming into cities because economic growth, economic opportunity is belonging to the cities. So there is no way you can stop it. Now this poses a very important question to us. Whether under this, growth that the cities are seeing, are we going to let these cities crumble under this, or are we going to use this as an opportunity to build better cities for ourselves? So that's the pertinent challenge. Actually, I'll tell you what's happening to this, impact of people moving into cities. If you look at the slide, I've just put some pictures. Look at, we are generating 200 crore tons of waste from cities. Now, man, this is like a huge number. So look at, and most of this is going into the oceans or landfills. They are not getting treated. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem that we have. Traffic. I will tell you, okay, all of us are from Ahmedabad. Yesterday I was taking my daughter for an ice cream at about 8 o'clock. I crossed Satellite and into Bopalamli Road. It took me 35 minutes to do like a 1.5 kilometer stretch. So it's no longer a problem which is somebody else's problem. Cities is not somebody else's problem. It is your problem. It is your and my problem. I took 40 minutes. By the time I reached the ice cream parlor, my daughter was like so cranky. So like, I don't want that ice cream. Because, right, it happens to all of us. If you see the picture at the bottom, urban flooding. Urban flooding is a real issue. Just earlier in August, I went for a trek. Okay, I went for a trek to Himachal. Okay, and I had to, go through the city of Manali to reach Lahore, which is the area where we wanted to trek. And in Manali, which is now a thriving city, okay, the flooding situation right now is so bad that the main highway connecting, Manali to Mandi, which is, and then further down to the plains to Chandigarh, is wiped out. It's a national highway. The national highway is not accessible for days together. So you have one part of India which is cut out. So this is the real, the point I'm trying to make is these problems are real. They are affecting you and me. So it's no longer that somebody else is going to solve for it. So we need to be cognizant that this is what we are doing to our cities. Pollution. How many of you all have breathing issues? Okay, because of, there's pollen, there's dust. So friends, the issues in cities are real, and if we don't address them in time, you are going to blame us. You're going to blame your adults that why are we doing this to you and for your future. So it's a responsibility that we have, but at the same time, you have the responsibility to understand these challenges, and it's not somebody else's problem. So I'll come to that in a bit. So how are cities preparing for the future? What are we doing? Are we trying to do something right? We can use these problems and try and create some opportunity out of it for us. Some of the cities are doing it. For example, Singapore is using a concept of a digital twin to simulate traffic flows and then, solve that with an intelligent traffic management system. So it actually simulates how many people are going to come to the city, what happens on the weekends, people are moving around, what happens if there's a big event, what is the Coldplay concert? We had a Coldplay concert in Ahmedabad. It was a nightmare to get to the Coldplay concert, right? I mean, the concert was beautiful, but getting there was, if you have our cricket matches. So people are like, okay, forget it, city is no problem, let me not just go. We are really affecting, our livability by not focusing on these issues. We need child-friendly streets. I'm sure, how many of you all actually explore the streets of Ahmedabad? Do you all get out on the streets? Great, do you enjoy it? Sorry? Quite a bit, yeah, which is good. But you need, if the cities created more street infrastructure which was friendly, you're able to sit down, along the Sabarmati river, and so we need to create. So I'm just giving you some example. Japan is trying to create child-friendly streets. Okay, so focusing on making it equitable for cities. In Ahmedabad, and even PwC, we are doing this project. We are trying to use artificial intelligence to actually detect potholes, so that only not, the buses, the BRT buses that move on the streets, they have cameras which actually, look at the situational awareness of the city and try to detect these potholes and relate back to the command and control center. So even we are adopting that technology to make, the cities pothole free. So as I said, Ahmedabad also we are doing a lot of work, and I can say I'm playing a small part in making this city more friendly for all of us. We have an integrated command and control center, which acts like the nervous center for the city. The entire city functioning is monitored through this command and control center. It's at Paldi. If it permits, I would be happy to. We are working with the city authorities on that, but would be happy to take you along. For solid waste management, each and every solid waste management vehicle is being tracked through technology. It's been given the optimal route. It is tracking whether it picked up the garbage at the designated time and if the frequency needs to be changed. So if in certain pockets of the city there is additional requirement to pick up garbage, then we are trying to increase the frequency. Smart schools, you'll be very surprised, and the right to education a previous speaker spoke about. Ahmedabad has about 424 public schools, out of which 200 of them are smart schools. And what I mean by smart schools is they actually have the latest technology infrastructure, right from 3D printing to awareness about blockchain. Most of the students have tablets to experiment on. So actually the government is focusing a lot on creating smart schools, and you'll be very, very surprised to know there is actually some sort of a migration which is happening in Ahmedabad, where parents are putting their children from private schools into public schools, and which is a very good sign. No offense to the private schools are there, but it's a very good sign, because the city does need the government to focus on education. Smart toilets. From a tourism perspective, what is India's biggest problem? Can anyone just, what is the biggest problem? Yeah, go ahead. Great, bang on. This is a research which has been done that India has such amazing tourism potential, but the one single biggest factor which prohibits, people from coming into India is availability of good, clean public toilets for women. So again, this as a city, we try to address that. I don't know if any of you have seen these smart toilets across the city. They are really clean. You can actually go use them. You'll realize, and it's completely like we're trying to use minimal water, okay, and really good, and they're accessible in the streets. The water SCADA system. All of you will get water at home. Happy? 24/7 water. It's not easy. It's not easy, but so many people keep getting added onto the city. So there is a very good water SCADA system which the city has in place, which tracks leakage, tracks if at all water is reaching the designated, points, so that each of us get water in our taps 24/7. ICT fire management system. We have very advanced fire management. So in case any emergency happens, our fire tenders, the healthcare system to support subsequently is in place. BRTS is one of the success. Ahmedabad is the only city where BRTS is a success story. And we have a lot of people using this kind of public transport, which is faster, convenient, and at the same time it's not really inconvenient. I mean, if any of you all have sat in a BRT bus, it's nice air conditioned buses. Riverfront development is part of creating social infrastructure for the city, where you and I can find nicer places to hang out, to explore the city, to go cycling, focus on our health, and have places to interact. Some of the cities across the world also I want to talk about, while we are doing our bit, but we need to get inspired with what the rest of the world is doing, so that we can continue on this journey of improvement to solve the problems that I spoke about. Active green spaces. So I don't know if some of you have been to Singapore. Singapore has this like beautiful, green spaces which they have created, and they keep adding on to it. Copenhagen. If you know, Copenhagen is one of the first countries which is very soon going to be carbon neutral. What do we understand by carbon neutral? Anyone? So basically, if you see a lot of the cities, with your very simple example, with cars on the road, if they are fuel-based cars, they create pollution. Okay, so that adds on. ACs, all of us in summers, all of us want AC because nice environment. You know what? Where does all the hot air from the ACs go? It goes outside, right? It goes outside. So so in order to balance this out, you need to have more trees. You need to have more initiatives, which is making your city carbon neutral. So Copenhagen has taken a lead in saying that it will become one of the first carbon neutral cities in the world, major cities in the world. the Gujarat government has also taken that by 2050, there are certain goals that they want to reach to make most of the cities in Gujarat carbon neutral. And as a country, India has taken a goal that by 2070, we'll be carbon neutral. So it's a long way to go, but each of us needs to play that part on, ensuring that we help our country reach that goal. Amsterdam, in terms of circular economy program and electric mobility. So guys, please, it's important to move from fossil-based fuels to, lesser polluting fuels. It's for a better future that you will have tomorrow. Creating good public social infrastructure. See, this is very good. You know what is, do you know that, let me ask you a simple question. That depression, anxiety, all these are real problems, right, today? I mean, we need to understand this. Where do you think these problems exist more? In cities or villages? Why? So everyone is busy, everyone doesn't have space, everyone doesn't have time. If you go to Mumbai, Mumbai people are limited to a 2-kilometer radius. They will not, people from North Bombay don't go to South Bombay because like impossible to reach the other side of the town. So you need to create good public social infrastructure where people can just be. From the hustle and bustle of the city life, they can just be, they can share a laugh, they can get like good space to hang around. So it's really very, very important. So we need to think beyond just, skyscrapers. There's a very interesting concept which is now going around because cities don't have space for gardens. Okay, they don't have space for agriculture. Have you heard of a farm in the middle of the city? No, right? But don't we deserve, that whole farm to table, farm fresh food? We deserve it, right? If we live in cities. So new concept is coming up, which is vertical gardens, vertical farming. So you have your skyscrapers, but you can actually create design. So if you look at the picture on the right, it's actually creating vertical farming for the cities so that we can also get fresh food. So these are some of the things which, I wanted to talk about. A lot we need to do with our water system. So I'm going to go a little quickly in the interest of time. Water circularity, again, very, very important. So let me tell you, we flush our toilets, we water our gardens, and we use all the water which is not essential for us. What do we do with the water? Is it worthwhile to just send it all into the sea and pollute our sea and our marine life? No, right? We have to find ways to treat that water, make it, the clothes we wear. How much of water goes into creating like textiles? Anybody whose family is into textile business will just ask your parents that how much water is required to, the answer, right? It's huge. So, we have to, by no means I'm saying that don't, do what you're doing, but be cognizant of these issues so that you can make a better tomorrow for yourself. So conserve water where you can. Very small example, when we have people coming into our homes, we give them a glass full of water. Don't give them only half a glass. If they want more, they will ask. Most of the time people have one sip and they leave the rest of the water out. This water is precious. Go ask a village in the Vidarbha region. Okay, that 3/4 cup of water means life and death. So I'm sorry, I don't want to call it doomsday, but just appreciate the things that you have. So water circularity is important, treating wastewater, making sure that, we are all cognizant of it and it getting added onto the cycle. Okay, so in textiles, when you have a lot of that wastewater needs to get treated. It needs to get reverse osmosis and it can be reused. So that is the point. Waste transformation. One of the things that each one of us can do, segregate your waste. It's very important. Trust me, as Indians, we just don't understand segregation of waste. I don't know why. It's very simple. Dry waste, wet waste, biological hazard waste. Simple segregation. Because if you do that, the city authorities are actually trying a lot to do a lot of use of that waste. For example, with the dry waste, dry waste can be used to build roads. Do you know that? Anybody from... Sorry? Exactly. So dry waste, if you can, segregate properly, segregate your dry waste from the reusability, from the plastic that we are using, you can make roads. wet waste, you can make compost. It can directly add into your, your agri-produce. But if you don't segregate, then imagine the amount of effort is required to segregate that waste. So please, we need to make sure that, first of all, create less waste. And if you create less waste, please ensure that you segregate it. If you segregate it, it'll make things easier, because there's a lot of waste to energy plants also. We're trying to convert a lot of the waste into energy, and the government is actually buying that energy. So it's encouraging people to come in and buy that energy from those people in public-private partnership. Energy reimagined, clean and distributed energy. Simple habits. Like how the grid works, right? The grid works. The unfortunate part is India has summer across the entire country at the same time, right? Now what happens is everyone is using ACs at the same time. So the peak load has to be managed in a fashion to cater to something which is an abnormal demand only in those parts of the month. Now so now we know that that's a problem we already know that we cannot solve. We all need ACs and we all need cooling in the summers. But can we try and change certain other habits? We can try and change certain other habits in day-to-day households. If you are able to do that, you can conserve that energy. So the idea is that and that will put less pressure on the grids. If that puts less pressure on the grids for more number of people that are coming into the cities, you will have energy for everybody. So I think that's something which we need to be cognizant of. Second is about using more clean energy. So making sure that solar rooftops, making sure that wind and sun, these are resources that are available to us. So we need to. So what I want to encourage each one of you is go back to your homes, think about all these questions, challenge your parents, challenge your teachers, challenge the adults around you. That what are we doing? Because if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to have a great tomorrow. If you don't have a great tomorrow, your children are going to have a worse tomorrow. So I started my talk that this is not somebody else's problem. If you want your cities to be better, it is your problem. So think that what you need to do. There's a lot of technology which can be put in place. We are, I'm part of an ecosystem where we are putting in a lot of technology in cities to make life better, to make the city governance better. We are using a lot of artificial intelligence. I spoke about digital twin. We are using a lot of augmented reality to create certain situations and predict how we can cater to those things. We are doing a lot of there's a concept of 3D printing where you can actually now print design and print homes, so that the whole creation of many more urban homes can be fast tracked and can be accelerated. Drones, a lot of cities across the world are using drones for a lot of delivery, especially for medicines and things of that sort. Internet of Things, robotics. From healthcare perspective, so a lot of surgeries are getting done through robotics. Virtual reality I already spoke about. So just coming back, I want to talk about two aspects. One is using of technology, and the most important aspect, okay, technology will do its bit, but the most important aspect is about people, you and I. The human layer, as I call it, community in action. What are you doing to make your cities a better community? We all keep thinking about, imagine a situation when you are at your home and you have to move from one room to the other and it takes about 20 minutes. Will you like it? Because there are like 5 people in between. You'll not like it, right? Now think of your city as your home. Most of you raised your hands when I said you love Ahmedabad. But look at what's happening to the city. The time to act was yesterday. We are already late. We are already late. So I just try to put in certain aspects about how critical it is for us to focus on our cities right now, focus on how we can make them sustainable, we'll continue to make them economic centers of growth. See, it's important because people from villages have aspirations, they will come into the cities. But do you want these people to come into our cities and feel like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that I did in my life? Or you want them to give them a nice, equal space, equal opportunity for them to come in here into our city and thrive? Because as what Mr. Devang Nanavati told earlier, the right to live anywhere in the country is a fundamental right that everyone has. So people are going to come into our cities, and if you and I don't act now to make it better for us and for the rest of the country, then it's a battle which we've lost. So with that note, I'm going to end my talk and let you guys free after a long 4 hours of this, but wishing you all the best. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I had actually planned a few audience interaction, but I don't know whether we have the time for that. I wanted to actually just do this, that I wanted each one of you to talk about the biggest issue that you think you're facing in this city, and we can probably just talk about what is the potential solution that we can have. So just, it relates, as I said, it is an issue which connects everyone. So maybe 2 or 3 people, you can just talk about what is the biggest issue that you face living in this city. Please go ahead. Have you been to Bombay in monsoons? You will love Ahmedabad. On a lighter note, but no, that's a very fair point. As I said, we already have tried to do certain interventions the city is doing in trying to detect the potholes. See, unfortunately, the quality of roads in India is a problem we have not been able to solve. But rest assured, Ahmedabad is way better than the rest of the country. But what we can do is, as soon as we detect a pothole, to try and make sure that it gets rectified as soon as possible. Though the city is trying to do that. Now, why the potholes are there, we'll have to ask the road construction companies. Because they actually shouldn't be there. There's a lot of science into, the layering of the road, the amount of, tarmac and the chemicals that get added. I'm not a road expert, but somehow, if that problem exists, at least we should find a way to detect it and then, quickly resolve it. But great question. Thank you so much for asking. Anybody else? Any other? Okay. So that's a great. Traffic is a very important problem. A pedestrian friendly roads, another very important issue that we need to solve for cities. Now traffic is a very tricky subject because all of us want cars, and in each family, as number of people are there, that many cars are there. So I know that if you are a 4-member family, we'll have at least 3 cars. But is that the right thing to do? Question mark. So one is we have to introspect. Are we actually pushing people from? How will the traffic problem be solved? People are coming into the city. If you don't use shared public transport, we are going to add on to the city problems. And once there's too much traffic on the road, it's going to be unsafe. It's going to be like, not very pedestrian friendly. So we have to think of that as number 1. Number 2, but it is a lot of technology we're trying to put in place on the roads to make sure that the traffic discipline is followed. So I know how many of you get e-challans. Ask your parents, are you getting e-challans? Are you getting e-challans? Yes, right? That's technology put in place to make sure that the cars are behind the zebra crossing line. Because if you don't, you'll get a challan, you'll have to pay for it. So at least part of the problem is getting solved with technology. So we're trying to do that. Hopefully in time, it'll become better. Yes, I think that there's a girl at the back. She raised her hand, and then I think you.
So like many people will be due to the traffic, many people with scooters or bikes, they ride their bikes or scooters on the footpath even though it's made for walking. So I think if there's more awareness about not driving or maybe some rules, so we can be better for that.
Great point. Great, and I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. Great point.
So in Delhi during summer, there was a very big scarcity of water and people would only get water like once a day. So what can the government do to make the water supply system more efficient?
Yeah, so great. So see, that's the problem. Water is not, ubiquitously available across the country to everybody. So one is that, okay, you have to start right from the source. Okay. For example, there's flooding happening in some parts of the country, and in some parts of the country there's drought. So there's a very ambitious project that the government is trying to do is the interlink. One is the dams to control the water supply, and 2 is the interlinking of the rivers. So if you know, earlier Sabarmati was dry, right? I know many years ago, but then when it got linked to the Narmada, a lot of the Narmada water comes into the Sabarmati, and so that is the interlinking of rivers. So if you start with the source, there is enough water which gets wasted. Even the rainwater gets wasted. So if you can direct the water from some of the rivers which are overflowing and causing flooding to some parts of the country where there is drought, and if you can it's a huge infrastructure cost. Something, one is that, starting with that as one solution. Second is judicious use of water, because each one of us is responsible to make sure that we judiciously use the water so that we don't waste water and make it available for somebody else. And third is telescopic pricing on water usage. Now let me explain you what I mean by that. For basic needs of water, government will provide you, okay, fair enough, this is the price, you pay 100 rupees. But if I want to have a nice, long, big, beautiful garden and I want to water it every day, thrice a day, you pay money for it. You pay additional money for it, and that money will get used to create more technology to create more water. Very simple. Because last but not the least, then there is, there's a whole process of desalination of seawater and create it into, but that's prohibitively expensive. So for all those guys who want to use water and waste water, I mean, my solution is please put telescopic pricing like electricity. The more you use, the more you pay. So last one, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have a very pressing and like you're gonna like game-changing idea about how to solve for cities, we'll have that as the last one.
Okay. I feel like in Ahmedabad, there are like a lot of people who have like different interests, and there are a lot of communities. But I feel like there's a lack of community spaces in Ahmedabad for people to meet and like find other people with similar interests. Because number one, I feel like people don't have the incentive to like go out into the city and talk to other people and make new friends, because the commuting is just so difficult. Because number one, it's not a walkable city at all. There's no way you can walk more than like 1 block, because then it's like a cow will come in the middle of the road, or there's like some restaurant that blocks your way. So like I feel like there should be incentive for people to meet in community spaces, which I think Ahmedabad doesn't have. So now, since the city has already been built, how are you going to tackle the problem of having community spaces, basically?
No, that's a great point, and I agree with you covered everything that I almost spoke about. So great observation. I think quick response to that is creation of community spaces belongs to the people themselves. The city authorities can only try and facilitate that, and that they can do by creating more green spaces. See, for example, Ahmedabad has done a good job with the riverfront, and they're expanding the riverfront now. So it is one of those places which is going to create that social infrastructure, for example, for people to meet and people to do things. But what is happening is not happening on a sustained basis. So you need to create those communities, cycling communities, getting together of common interests. And this is outdoor. You also need to create certain indoor spaces. So more auditoriums, more like gyms, more like sports centers where people can get together and build that community. The city is doing it, but I agree with you. It can be like you can do much more. Last. I thought you guys must be like all dying to get out and like get done with the day. But thank you so much for being a great audience. And okay, 1 and 2, last 1 and 2. That's it.
So when we were talking about cars previously, so one more problem in Ahmedabad is that many people do not get a parking space outside restaurants or cafes. And the way we can tackle this problem is if we put monitoring cameras. So like, and if there is an app for the people to see and just like see where the parking is available. So
It's coming. Just wait and watch. We are working on that.
Yeah.
Actually, really, it's coming. So we are trying to, actually right now what is happening is across the city, we are trying to assess the demand and supply of, what parking spaces are required at different pockets of the city. So that assessment is going on, and soon that solution will come out. So just hang in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Last comment of the day.
One of the main issues is waterlogging and flooding. So for that, we had a school project, and this was one of our ideas, which was a porous road system. So basically, we can't do it. It's a little impossible because the roads are already built. But
if there were roads that were able to absorb the water that is being like fallen or that is being logged, and then if that whatever is collected is filtered and then redirected to other resources where water is scarce, then that could solve the problem of water being less or water being used a lot. So that is what we thought.
Great observation. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you have a good drainage system, which, it's called rainwater harvesting. This whole, what you're talking about is called rainwater harvesting. So you can actually get the rainwater and harvest it and use it. It's a great solution.
What an enthralling talk and interactive session indeed. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to invite a core team member, Diya Patel, to hand over a speaker gift to Mr. Nirav Shah.